Thank you all for being here at the April convening for the Baton Rouge Area Youth Network. As mentioned before, please go ahead and sign in. Forrest is dropping that link in the chat. Today's agenda is similar. As usual, we're going to get grounded, have our BRAYN coffee shop. We're going to have a first speaker and a second speaker today. We'll then have our BRAYN announcements, community announcements, and say goodbye for now. Now we're going to have Cindy, who is in the convening working group, affirm the organization.
Good morning. At the start of every BRAYN convening, we always want to affirm the organization. So BRAYN is a network for youth organizations that provide one or more of the following: after-school youth programming, summer youth programs, and/or wrap-around support services for youth. Our BRAYN goals are to build the youth services field to improve how communities and schools work together to create more equitable outcomes for youth in the long term, and increase youth engagement in high quality out of school opportunities. Our 3 principles of practice are community. If you want to go fast, go by yourself, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. The quality of our relationships and trust matter. And we want to move at the speed of trust. Collaboration, we can fight for the scraps that fall off the table, or we can build that bigger table together. So we want to collaborate and build that bigger table. And consensus. This process requires us to slow down, take time to build shared understanding, and value equity in decision-making. All right, back to you, Jasmine.
Thank you so much, Cindy. So as usual, we do have a BRAYN coffee shop. Today, we are going to have the coffee shop be a little different. We're asking members and guests to answer the coffee shop questions via a Google form that is going to be dropped in the chat. But we're going to do that all in the same room because our guest speaker has incorporated these questions into his presentation. So there will be time to share responses, but we're just going to take a minute and fill out the Google form. All right, so the questions were, how does STEM fit your mission? And what does STEM matter for, why does STEM matter for your constituents? So like I said, our speaker will talk about that today and ask you specifically about that. So we're gonna go ahead and introduce our speaker, Mr. Eric Lewis. The demands for STEM have never been higher. Students are demanding STEM more than ever before, and this was not the case 5 years ago. LaCal surveyed 21st century grantees who are confirming what this data states. The data, students, families, and grantees are saying it, and we want our members to be prepared for the demand. So we have Mr. Eric Lewis, who was part of our panel when we discussed strategic partnerships, because BR STEM effectively partners with organizations throughout the Baton Rouge and Baker communities to implement STEM programming. He graciously agreed to come back and talk about the importance of STEM in K-12, what STEM programs should look like, and who should be implementing the programs. It's been a few months since Eric was here, so I'll give you a refresher of who he is. Eric Lewis is a native of Baton Rouge. After graduating from the College of Engineering at Southern University in Baton Rouge with a BS in Electrical Engineering, he began working for Texas Instruments. Life and career opportunities eventually brought him back to Baton Rouge. Upon his return, Eric co-founded the Baton Rouge Black Chamber of Commerce and his consulting firm, the Epic Company. A father to 4 children, Eric has long been a strong advocate for high-quality educational programming for all children. This passion is partly the reason for the launch of Baton Rouge STEM. Eric is also a graduate of the E.J. Orso College of Business at Louisiana State University with an MBA. Prior to the founding of BR STEM and Apex Collegiate Academy, Mr. Lewis has launched multiple nonprofits and small businesses, as well as having worked for Raytheon and McKesson as an electrical engineer. BR STEM is a BRAYN member organization, and Eric served in the communications working group until it was dissolved last month. Eric, thank you for joining us today. You have the floor.
Thank you, everyone, for joining, being a part of today's convening. As we move to the next slide, I want to just go ahead and jump into the presentation and conversation. And so what we're going to talk about is incorporating STEM or STEAM into out-of-school programming. We can go to the next slide. All right, so I just want to share a little more background about Baton Rouge STEM, and this kind of goes to the question that was asked in the coffee shop. But BR STEM works with policymakers, educators, and the community, including parents, to integrate STEM into classroom learning in alignment with college and career readiness standards. And so what I want to make clear is that we try to ensure that where we're trying to go as a state with our kids academically, that all of our programming is in support of that and in alignment with it. So just, Ms. Johnson covered this, but again, I'm a Baton Rouge native. So I graduated from both universities here in the city, first from Southern with an electrical engineering degree, and then a little bit later on from the MBA program at LSU. So, and I want to kind of open this up. We can use the chat for this, but this is where she was going earlier. And so 2 questions that I really wanted folks to kind of think through was, how does STEM fit your mission? She shared some data and some research that's been done around STEM. But I want us to kind of really be thoughtful of whether or not STEM is something that aligns with the mission of each of our organizations. And so if we could take maybe 60 seconds and just kind of give abbreviated responses around how STEM fits your particular mission. And we'll kind of digest that first. So Mona from the Girl Scouts, and then Miss Amber. Mona, can you expand upon how STEM is a part of the 4 pillars of the Girl Scouts?
Yes. So as I stated in there, STEM is actually one of the 4 pillars of Girl Scouting, and we have lots of badges that works on, different STEMs activities. We try to do things as council. We try to schedule events so the girls can. We have actually had several robotics teams that have, participated in robotics. It just gives my daughter has participated in a lot of that, and actually has done some outside things with different organizations and different awards because of some of the stuff that her base that she got from Girl Scouts and the STEM area and the robotics team.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then Miss Amber.
Good morning, everyone. So with Go Learn, we found over the years through tutoring a lot of the core academic subjects that math, I know a lot of people talk about literacy, but math is definitely one of those core areas that our students are lacking in. And so we decided over the last few years to kind of focus in on math. Math is like a staircase. Every step builds upon the previous step. And so with our students, we found that so many of them lack the foundation in math. Anything that we're doing in math, if you can't add, subtract, multiply, and divide, you're not going to be able to, do fractions or decimals or, and then if you can't do fractions, decimals, or percents, then I can't go on to algebra 1, or geometry or some of the other high school math. So definitely we are trying to focus on math and then even bringing some technology into it as well, because we now have a program where we incorporate a one-to-one technology model when we are doing our math intervention program.
Okay. And so great. So I picked those two in particular. So I think oftentimes people think about STEM and they immediately run to robotics, and Mona gave that as examples of part of their programming. But a lot of times we miss out on what Miss Alexis was saying about getting a foundation in math. And yes, obviously there's higher level math leading and driving kids towards careers in college. But one of the things that I've found is that we have a large population of students in our community who are still struggling with foundational math. And I mean like fourth, fifth grade level. And if you look at a lot of the challenges that we're having in schools, it's because a lot of our students are not getting that foundational understanding that they need in math. And so, so I appreciate you both for your input. And now the second one kind of goes towards Ms. Jasmine's introduction. And so if you could just kind of type in, why do you feel like your constituents, I'm sorry, why do you feel like STEM matters to your constituents? And that could be their parents or the actual students that you're serving. All right, so I saw responses actually in this question and the first question, about basically demographically or what the demand will be in the future and things of that nature. So I used this slide in a previous presentation about inclusiveness as it relates to STEM. And so, I mean, I'll kind of let everyone digest it, but a couple of things that I just want to kind of make note of. So nationally, African Americans make up about 13% of the population. It's obviously a lot higher in Louisiana. But then if you look at the breakdown of the representation in these various fields, doesn't necessarily match up with the population breakdown. And that's both from a race standpoint and a gender standpoint. And so there's tons of thoughts as to why that is. But the reality is that, a lot of things that we embrace in our everyday lives, from our cell phones to our cars, televisions, different software that we use, healthcare, like it all involves STEM. And so just from a pure economic standpoint, which I think a lot of responses are going towards, we have a lot of kids and generations of kids that are missing out on huge economic opportunities. And so I wanted to kind of share that to kind of create a foundation of this conversation. Can we go to the next slide? And so I mentioned that, there's a lot of explanations and reasons as to why this is a little dated, but I think, the trend is kind of still the same. But, thought process is that kids in certain groups don't pursue STEM as a career because they think the subjects get too hard. And again, that starts off in elementary school, or that mindset, the thought process starts off in elementary school. Or they don't see where the subject matter would be useful. And again, for those of us that have worked in schools, you may hear kids, often ask the question of where are we going to use this? Where am I going to use this at in my future? Or that they find it boring. And so the concern, so the second question around why does it matter to students? I think most of us tend to answer that question because as adults, we see what's out there, we see the opportunities. But I think we also should be very, very keen and interested or concerned about why students think it's important, or if they think it's important. Because I think that's part of the challenge, is helping them to make a connection between what they're interested in and these opportunities that exist. Go to the next slide, please. All right. And so given that, I think, we used to, a few years ago, um, we're always tossing around these different jargons when it comes to education, but relevancy was one that was pretty prominent a couple years ago. And so when I think about the young people that I work with, whether it's my own kids or kids that I've worked with in programming or, led in schools, um, there over the last few years, there are a few things that seem to be extremely, extremely important to kids. Smart devices, so whether that be tablets, phones, earbuds, gaming devices, kids love their devices. Social media, I'm sure, I don't know if anyone else was told, but I was told last weekend that Facebook is now for old people. So that's why it's not on the list. Um, but TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, I guess young people still use, and Snapchat, and I'm sure there's others out there, but they love social media. And as much as we say kids need to get outside, kids are still like interested in sports. And then the arts. And so whether that be music, poetry, different genres of music, theater, these are things that, and you may have other things that the kids are interested in, but just kind of put in big buckets. These are things that kids between second grade to high school, even into college, like these are the things that they're interested in. And so I think the challenge for us, um, is to try to both embrace the things that our kids are interested in, but also to help them understand again how STEM is embedded, in these activities or these facets of their life. Um, and so you can go back to the slide. I kind of, I guess we'll spend the bulk of the conversation around here and then we'll get to the last slides. And so I'll just kind of throw through some examples. So, I mean, obviously, smart devices, cell phones, is a mix of technology, engineering, software development, um, and then social media, obviously, is software. But the two that I think sometimes, I mean, we have the term STEM and STEAM, um, but I think what we've tried to do is, from a sports and a music and arts standpoint, um, is while also pushing those aspects, helping students to understand, how technology, as an example, is integral to sports. And so the piece that I think is important is, as kids go through life, and some of us have probably experienced this, you like love football, but maybe you weren't the best at it, or you understood that at some point it was going to come to an end. And so I think what's began to happen over recent years, um, is with analytics and apps and things like that, um, it's an opportunity for kids to still be engaged in some of the sports they love from a technology standpoint, and like actively be a part of it. And so one of the things that we incorporated, um, is a concept called STEM athletics. And so just really trying to show students how different sports, actually are involved, or different sports incorporate STEM into it. So as an example, like with football and basketball, we've done coding applications or coding activities, but also helping kids understand how architecture, as an example, is, an integral part of those sports in building arenas and things like that. And so kids get an opportunity to build their own models of football stadiums or basketball arenas. Um, and then I mentioned the analytics piece. And so, I used to coach youth football and basketball. And so there's an app called Huddle. And it's just gotten really sophisticated over the years. And so helping the kids understand how, again, from a career standpoint, things like that, they can still embrace and be a part of their favorite sports, even though they might actually be on the field, on the floor, in the arena. Um, and so that's the biggest piece that I want to kind of get across, is just really trying to find ways, because I think even when it comes to just our core academics, that's what we talk about a lot in school as well, is helping kids to understand the connection, between the things that they're trying to be taught in school and the things that they enjoy in their real life. And so oftentimes teachers will bring those things into lessons. Um, you can move to the next slide now. All right, and so I just wanted to kind of share, some examples of activities that we do at Baton Rouge STEM that I think are kind of low cost and entry points for those that are looking to incorporate STEM into your summer programming or after school programming. And so the first one is computer coding. There is a tool that we use called Scratch, and there's Scratch Junior, and they're graphical block tools where kids make connections on the computer similar to like Legos. But it provides kids with a basic concept of computer coding. And again, it's graphical code, so it's similar to the apps that they're using. And it kind of demystifies this idea that it's hard or it's difficult. And so it's native to things that they're already doing. And so I think it's something that, you guys should look into if you're not already using. And the kids will like pick it up really quickly. The second one is drafting. So a lot of times kids are always doodling in class or in school. But we did an activity with Big Buddy this past 2 weeks, teaching kids how to do 3D designs, 3D drawings. And so if anyone is interested, I can kind of walk you through that. But it also helps to make a connection. And so just basic example, elementary kids, third and fourth grade, they're learning about, the area of squares and rectangles. And so they'll have to draw those. They have dimensions. And so literally that is the same concept that we're using in engineering design. But I think what makes it fun, if you can kind of take that and expand that. And so even with, the math curriculum and kids are counting cubes, teaching them how to actually draw cubes that can then be expanded into them drawing a small house or something of that nature. And so that's an example of taking the math in STEM and showing kids how it actually relates to engineering. And then the last piece is more hands-on activities. And so there's all sorts of things that you can do with popsicle sticks. So we have bridge competitions where kids build bridges, and it also embeds math as well. And so the starting point of that is for them to build isosceles triangles in order to make their bridges. So again, you get to use math in that process, but also they can have competitions at the end. And so you've probably seen some of these on YouTube, but they can have competitions at the end to see whose bridges can hold the most weight. And so I bring those three to you because, again, literally the only one that actually costs anything is the bridge competition. And you can get a box of 1,000 popsicle sticks for like $5 plus the glue. And so these are activities that you can incorporate into your summer programming that are low cost, and that I think will engage students, help them to make connections again to the math work that they've been doing in school, and that can actually help them to understand how it applies in their real life. And so if I take the bridge competition again as an example, a lot of times people might not even notice that especially like small bridges around the parish, when you approach them, they have a weight limit. And so again, it's something that, kids can understand and they can make a connection to. But the truss bridge that we build, it's a type of bridge, is similar to the Mississippi River Bridge. And so again, helps them to make a real world connection as well. All right. So those are 3 examples, and then we can move to the next slide. And so I just want to just run through real quickly in case some of you may not feel comfortable. BRSTEM can work with you or assist you in helping to develop programming for your organization. And so I just want to run through a set of workshops that we offer to the schools that we partner with and that we provide during our own summer programming. So I mentioned the coding piece. So we do intro to coding, and then from that we build on to our robotics workshop. And so there's some coding that's involved in the robotics workshop. The math of football is what I mentioned earlier about our STEM athletics. And so we talk through with kids how math is actually embedded in football in so many different ways, from the dimensions of the field, to the pass routes that they run. We talk about the analytics piece that I was talking about earlier, and then we actually conclude that with a Madden tournament. We go to the next one. Next slide. So aerospace and robotics. The kids in this one, they make, they learn about prototyping, which is an engineering process. But they'll make a prototype rocket out of paper. And then we actually launch rockets at the conclusion of this process. But there's a competition in there as well. So they learn about trajectory, flight distances and angles and things of that nature. And then the science of basketball, again, is a part of the STEM athletics piece. But they learn about how the engineering behind basketballs. And again, they'll build a model basketball arena. And so we pull in some architectural pieces as well. And then I talked about the bridges. So the structural engineering piece is about the bridges. Basic electronics, which is actually my favorite, being an electrical engineer. And so the kids actually build battery powered cars and boats. A couple times we've done Mardi Gras floats that are battery powered, but they learn about circuitry and how electricity works. Grow your own food. So we have a couple schools that we partner with, one in particular in Baker, where they have a community garden. And so we work with the kids on the garden. And then we've added, the garden was already in place, but then we've also added some baby chickens to the garden. And so the kids will learn the process, that whole life, they're going to learn like the entire life cycle of a chicken. And then lastly, chemical reactions. And so we do both chemical reactions, but also pharmacy. And so kids learn a lot about how medicine is made, but they also learn about chemical reactions as it relates to different aspects of different industries in our community. All right. And we can skip that. I mean, so, because I know we're kind of short on time. And then these are just photos from different activities around aeronautical engineering. So the middle photo at the top is from our summer camp last year. And I think the big thing is about exposure as well. And so during the summer camp, the kids spent a week around aeronautical engineering, launching rockets outside, flying drones. And then we concluded with a field trip to Baton Rouge Airport. And so I think the cool thing about that was the kids being able to be basically on the tarmac, seeing planes take off. But even more than that, beyond the STEM piece, was the private jet facility that the kids got to tour and see all these very expensive and nice private jets in Baton Rouge. And so, again, the kids being able to get exposure and see different things that they'd never seen before, I think was very eye-opening and heartwarming for me. Next one. And so this was a STEM festival that we did in partnership with Big Buddy and Seaside Elementary School. We literally took their science curriculum and then created activities for the kids for the STEM festival. So those are the photos on the top. And then a couple from after school programming at the schools in our summer camp. All right, and that concludes the presentation. So I'll turn it back over to you, Ms. Johnson, if
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Eric, for your presentation. Are there any questions about STEM, STEAM, or BR STEM? Anyone have any questions? All right. I have a question. How do you measure STEM? When you incorporate, how do you measure it?
I think ideally, our goal ideally is to see students' performance increase on the LEAP for science and their math scores. And so we're still kind of working through that process, obviously, to be able to collect the data from the various schools. Because again, like we have 11 schools that we partner with directly, and then we have community-based programming. And so accessing the kids' information, is something that we're trying to work through. But I think also just kind of more anecdotally and not hard data, and I'll give you an example. To me, I think it's still important. One day I was working from a coffee shop in Zachary, where I live, and the kid was there with her grandfather, and she was just kind of having a fit because she wanted to come sit with me. I didn't even know the child, and so it just so happens that I'm at one of the schools the next week, and I see her, and she speaks to me, and she was like second grade maybe. And so I asked her if the school was where she recognized me from, and she said yes. And so she just, she wanted to be able to come sit with me. And so there's been instances similar to that where I may see kids like at Walmart in Zachary who don't necessarily live in Zachary, but they remember Mr. Lewis or the STEM man from their school. And then they can just talk through with their parents the things that they've done in the STEM programming. And so a lot of our work has been with low resource schools who don't have programming in place. And so to see anecdotally kids like in those two examples light up and be excited, or parents on Facebook saying that the kids at the school were trying to figure out what happened to their chickens. And so like there's literally 2 middle school kids that are responsible for raising these chickens, but whenever I take them off site to another school, the elementary kids are noticing that the chickens are gone. And so I think that's a big piece as well, is like the level of student excitement and engagement about these STEM activities. We're beginning to see increase.
All right, thank you so much for answering that, Eric. And I am excited to hear that the kids are excited to learn. That's really important. We know that we do better when we love what we're doing or we're enjoying what we're doing. Some kids actually shared that yesterday at the school board meeting. So kudos to you all for the level of engagement that you're able to foster for those kids. Any other questions for?
There's a question in the chat.
Okay, let me see. The question
Yes.
in the chat. Oh, go ahead.
It's me, Muriel Harrison. I had a question to say, are you available like during the summer for the presentation maybe of a module, say at the Gardner Initiative? We have programs from 9 to 12.
Yes, ma'am. And so in some instances, it could be me. Some instances, it could be someone else. But yeah, we can have somebody to come out. We just need to connect and kind of schedule it.
Okay.
And I'll just kind of give an example of how it might work. So like last summer, we ran our summer camp, and then it was a partnership with BRAYN. And so this is just an example of how it might work. So we basically picked a modular workshop, to your point, and it was Aeronautical Engineering. And so once a week, we would go to different BRAYN camps outside of our own. We would go to different BRAYN camps and present that module to the campers. And so that one, it kind of worked well because we did the lesson / demonstration, and then the kids at the conclusion of it got a chance to launch a rocket outside.
Okay.
But we could do it. We could do it with any of them. It just so happened that we just decided to do that one with BRAYN, but any of them can be presented in a modified format.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Lewis? Okay, well, thank you so much. Mr. Lewis, if there are any other questions, how would they get in touch with you?
So you can send me an email at eric@batonrougestem.org, and I'll put it in the chat in a second. You can always visit our website, batonrougestem.org, for more information about programming and opportunities to collaborate and partner.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Well, I will go ahead and introduce Mary. We're so happy to have you here, Mary, with us to talk about underutilized resources that the library has. There are a plethora of resources. We could never go through them all, but we are happy to have you here to share what youth organizations should be utilizing in the library. Mary Stein, a native of West Virginia, has lived in Baton Rouge since her college days at LSU. Before entering the world of public libraries, she worked as a special collections librarian at New Mexico State University and a reference library at LSU. Mary joined the East Baton Rouge Parish Library in 1984 and worked for many years in the Adult and Teen Services departments. Mary became the library's Assistant Director of Administrative Services in 2004, which means she works with public programming, community outreach, training, public relations, collection development, and materials acquisitions, grants, and the digital library. She also serves as the manager of the library. Highlights from the last few years include presenting a TED Talk at the first LSU TEDx, being named one of Baton Rouge's influential women, chairing the Baton Rouge Bicentennial Committee, and participating in the design of the new main library at Goodwood and other transformative projects. Tremendously proud to have helped in the development of Primetime Family Reading Time, One Book, One Community, and seeing the Home Library Pilot Project and the Press Start, Ready, Set, Read initiative come to fruition. She is also a proud grandmother of Cooper, age 11, and Alex, age 2 months. Welcome, 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 Mary. Listen, I've talked to you so many times, but when I read your bio, I was so impressed, and I just didn't know, how much. Of course, we never know how much everybody does in their role, but so impressive. So thank you for being here, and I will turn it over to you.
Okay. And who owns the slides, you or me?
Me.
Okay, great. Okay, so first of all, don't be afraid. I'm not going to read slides. The slides that have lots of words on them are just for you to look at later. But I am excited to still be in the library landscape, because with us, it's all about sharing. And I can't say it enough. We wouldn't spend the money, we wouldn't spend the time and the energy to get the stuff that we have if we didn't want you to use it. So I tell businesses, your competitor may be using this. So if I were you, I'd take advantage of some of the tools and resources that we have. It's the same thing with education, except y'all aren't competing for each other. We're all in it together, and there's plenty of work for all of us to do. So the goal of the library is to support what you're doing. We do some things ourselves, but we're also an enabler in the best of all possible ways. So let's go to the first slide. Overall, if you're on this call, you probably already know there's more than one library, public libraries scattered throughout the parish, conveniently located. Each one of them is open 7 days a week. That's unlike many cities in the United States. Everybody's open 7 days a week. Everybody has meeting rooms. Everyone has a children's services department, a teen services department. We are one of the libraries that actually knew teens existed long before it became fashionable. And we've always thought they were human beings. And all libraries do public programming of their own. We also have an outreach services department. Sometimes the staff in a building goes out, like I used to do when I was in teen services. And sometimes it's the bookmobile staff coming into you, and they visit. Last year, they made over 2,000 visits to preschools, daycares, learning centers, charter schools, public schools, private schools, retirement centers, and civic events. They're very, very busy people. You cannot call them today and get them to your site tomorrow. That is a cautionary tale. So just like in Chicago, you vote early and often. If you want the bookmobile to come to your site, or if you want one of us to come to your event, or if you want to come to our library on a tour or field trip, you got to ask early because those slots fill up very quickly. We are all about STEM and STEAM. In fact, we love the concept so much that we rewrote the library's strategic plan and sprinkled STEAM and STEM initiatives all throughout the 6 goals of the strategic plan. We felt that strongly about it. And everything that we're doing with buying our resources, our databases, our public program, our staff training is designed to support STEM and STEAM initiatives from the cradle to the grave, because learning doesn't stop, hopefully, when you matriculate. We hope to have lifelong learning all the way, as I said, from the cradle to the grave. We are going to kick off the summer reading program with a big STEM kickoff. This is, I think, the 3rd year we've done it. It's a good, fun, free time here at the main library on Goodwood. And many of my partners are on this call. I see you, Lucy. The Lost STEM group comes, Lost Space comes, knock, knock, I see you too. All the friends, if you ever watch the movie Casablanca, it's like all the usual suspects. People who have something to offer, to share. We try to make it engaging and active. As Eric said, it's all about discovery, engagement, activity, that excitement, and sparking the idea that, yes, I can. I was talking to someone yesterday, and we were once again bemoaning the fact it goes for both. It covers all of STEM. The reason people don't go into anything that's scientific or engineering is they're afraid of math. There's a fear of math. Children didn't start out being afraid of math. They started out loving to count and to name things and label things. And to kind of support that, we've started the Press Start Ready Set Read initiative, again with some of our friends, Knock Knock, I see you, LPB, Scholastic, and we're basically every month, just like on Sesame Street, where every episode is brought to you by a letter and a number. So every month the library is brought to you by a letter. This month it's M, the number 0, and the concept is spring. We're talking about concepts like up and down, or times of year, all those things that turn into parts of a prepositional phrase later. We're talking about those in a holistic, immersive way. There's a booklet that our staff creates that goes home with the parent. Of course, it's free. That goes without saying. And all over the children's rooms, you will see this month the letter M. The stuffed animals are wearing Flavor Flav necklaces with that letter, or the number. The books that we choose for story time carry that further, and we kind of populate the displays with things with whatever the color is, or the number, or the theme is for the month, to try to reinforce that and basically encourage parents to be their child's first teacher, to know that they could do it. So the idea of math being terrifying, which it seems to become, is sad. The other thing that's sad is that when you ask a child if they're an artist and they're in kindergarten, they absolutely are an artist. But by the time they're in the 3rd grade, they think they're not an artist. So I think both of those things are related. This lack of confidence, this lack of excitement, and this spirit of discovery. So we're trying to combat that by having things that kids like to do to inspire them and engage them. This summer, we are fortunate to partner with EBR Schools Childhood Nutrition Program and offer summer feeding at 9 locations. It is not every day, but it is 4 days a week at 3 libraries, including Carver, Maine, and Jones Creek. It is 2 days a week at Delmont, and it is 1 day a week at a number of other locations. Those days and times are published in the new newsletter, which is going to print today. It'll be out by next week, and it'll be available online. And so those dates and times are there for you. They welcome your field to your group to stop by. They welcome individuals to stop by. If you've ever participated in this program in the past, you know there are no questions asked. There's no identification required. It serves children from age 0 through 18. Again, no questions asked. You don't have to be a student in an EBR school to do it. So I encourage you to encourage your client base to take advantage of that. You probably are aware that children can get regular cards, but maybe you're unaware that since COVID, the school systems agreed to let us provide digital cards. These are student e-cards that give access to the digital library. Every child in EBR schools was given one over the last couple of years. Every child in, I believe, Central was given one. Most charter schools, most private schools took advantage of this offering. But it's easy for us to get your children hooked up with cards so that they can get at the physical stuff, books, movies, the launch pads, which is kind of like a little iPad, but it doesn't connect to the internet, so they can't get into trouble. And each launch pad will include 10 specially curated games. It's all stealth learning, y'all. I'm a big fan. Vox books, which read out loud for you, books on CD, play away, views, play away. We realize that our kids don't all read, our adults don't all read, so let's help them out. We check out games. So I'm all about critical thinking and, again, stealth learning by playing games. So we check those out at the main library. We have over 100 games in kits, and we'll be rolling them out to Bluebonnet next month, and then Scotlandville after that. Family activity kits, compliments of our great friends in the Girl Scouts. Arduino kits check out at the main library. So if you want to be doing a little building, we check out family museum passes to the USS Kid. That's something that you can share with your clients and their families. You would not use that for a group visit. Hotspots check out for individual use. We have 500 already. We're getting 250 more in a month. But we also have special hotspots. The hotspots that check out for individual use power up to 5 devices, maybe 6. The hotspots that check out for agency use can power 25 to 30 devices, high-speed internet. You would contact us specially to be able to have access to those. There's limited number of those. And I will tell you that this regular hotspots, all 500 of them are always all checked out. And that's why we're getting more. We do provide free programs at every location. They're listed in the newsletter. They're listed in the online calendar. If there's registration, as there often is, you have to register. And for the kids programs, I'm sad to tell you, you can't have a workshop for 200 kids. You have to have a limited enrollment. So we do, whether it's teens or the littles. There's often a registration. Now, if the ballet is coming, there might not be registration, and all 300 little butts can be sitting on the floor. If it's the juggler, he loves people to come. If it's the lady with the horse, oh no, she does not love lots of people to come. Only 20 kids, because the horse gets scared, and we don't want that to happen. So you have to look at whether registration is required. And sometimes groups are welcome to register, and sometimes they're simply not. So just think about that. We do have maker spaces, the big one at River Center. We have small ones at Bluebonnet, Jones Creek, and Greenwell Springs. There on this piece of paper, I have the libguides.com/make page, where you can kind of learn what we offer and figure out how you might book space, whether you're booking space to teach something to your group, or you're coming to practice yourself before you go further. Some things require badging and some things don't. We have different devices at different locations. Let's move the page. This is something we're sharing with the college crowd. Maybe you didn't know, we have digital portals. Okay, let me go back. When we first got computers at LSU, it was for the magazine index so that kids could do their research. Then we got library computers for the public library. Again, it was all about magazine articles and research, and then sliding in some reference books. And then the world exploded, and we have all different kind of platforms now. And some of them do things that you would never imagine. You can learn how to play a musical instrument with ArtistWorks. You can use Craftsy and Creative Bug, and the video classes are there. So it's kind of like you can press and play. If you've gotten all the craft ingredients there, you can craft along with whoever's on the screen. And these are quality crafts. It's not like looking at Pinterest where it's like real cute, but you can't do it. You know, supposedly they put the instructions, but they don't mean anything. These are fabulous. We have, of course, Libby with books that kids actually might like to read. And that is the key. The way to grow literacy is to give them something they want to read. I was on a mission to stamp out the Scarlet Letter as we know it in high school forced reading for 9th grade boys. Best way to stop a boy from reading is to force him to read the Scarlet Letter. So we have other things. If they want to read Harry the Dirty Dog, let them read Harry the Dirty Dog. If they like Dog Man, absolutely. Everyone loves the Wimpy Kid. For the youngers, we all love Pete the Cat. We all love Mo Willems and the Pigeon Cross. Let's let them do what they want to do. Those things are in Libby, and there's a kids portal, but they're also in books that you can check out. They're also in other resources that can be used multiply. We have Canopy and IndieFlix for streaming. So you can actually incorporate some of our digital platforms into your curriculum, as it will, throughout the summer. So this is something we're going to do at the library. I can't afford a yoga teacher every day, but I can play mindfulness from Udemy or from LinkedIn Learning or from even Creative Bug. I can play those things on my screen, and we have a built-in group activity. So I invite you to do that as well. Let's turn the page. And we're going to get on. You can also use some of the things that we have for downtime. It's important to have the right side and the left side working together. Everybody works better when they're both engaged. And I know with your curriculums in your day camps, you have to have some downtime. Well, we've got streaming concerts, the ballet, Freegal streaming or downloadable music, and some of those are concerts. We have streaming music in Classica, Medici TV. We've got films in IndieFlix and Canopy, and some of them are suitable for young people. You have to choose what's appropriate because they also contain things suitable for a mature audience. So you are the driver there. And access video on demand just for kids streaming video, that's the picture off to the side. Those are things that you are allowed to play. The performance rights are built in. So that's kind of cool. Let's turn the page. Now we have just a big old list. Remember I said you can do a plug and play craft through Creative Bug, Craftsy. Y'all, when I saw they had Doodle Wars, it gave me such great ideas. Yoga, meditation, lots of classes here. I can't express how excited I was to get these resources, and we wouldn't have paid for them if we didn't want you to use them. ArtistWorks, you can learn an instrument. Now, maybe at your camp, you've got ukuleles. Well, go for it. Harmonicas, scratching, so many things. It's not just playing the violin. though I love playing the violin, playing it in different styles. What a difference. The Hobbies and Craft Reference Center, it does have how-tos. It would be better. It's not something I would plug and play in front of kids. I would use it for myself as I was building my craft that went in with whatever I was trying to do. And as Eric said, kids are all about sports, fantasy sports, y'all. That's the avenue for so many reluctant learners. The World Book Dramatic Learning has skits and plays arranged by grade level, and it even has things like juggling, y'all. Juggling, so good for the little gray cells. Oh, there's a lot of thinking going on when you learn to juggle. I remember a real high-end creative firm, not Google, but another one. They made all their senior programmers learn juggling, and they would take breaks and when they were stuck, and then they would go juggle, and they would juggle together, and then they would go back, and they would have their eureka moment. The activity corner even tells you how much to expect to pay. And Udemy, which is one of my favorite lifelong learning platforms, has classes that your staff can attend, as well as good things for your high school kids, including things on organizing, project planning, and mindfulness. And some of them are not in English. So, let's turn the page. Another list, I'm not going to read those out, but Eric was talking about coding. We have something called Treehouse, which is coding. That's what it is. We, of course, have Homework Louisiana, which includes, up until midnight, free tutors online in every possible topic and all the way through college. It also has things for grown-ups, for careers, job skills, and many of these kids have parents. They may be helped by a lot of our lifelong learning workforce and skills development things. So I'm just saying, Learning Express includes math. They all include math, y'all. They all include college test prep. If you're doing something with high school juniors and seniors, maybe you're sliding in a little test prep. We've got so many resources where you can actually take the practice test, see it graded, see what you missed, not just know that you got a 20, but you got a 20 because you missed these kinds of questions. All right, let's look at those kinds of questions. So good. Tumble Math. Oh, it's just for math, just for math. Real world applications. You know, how do you cut that pizza? How do you cook? How did you do something in math for sports related? Love it. A lot of things that have printable sheets, activity sheets, worksheets, so that you can figure out your curriculum and slide in some ready-made tools for you. Do not recreate the wheel. You don't have time for that. There's Book Cloud for the little kids and Team Book Cloud. And we know so many of our teens are not reading at level and they're embarrassed about it. Well, we have things where you can read and listen at the same time. We also have things for the littles with Miss Humblebee and Early World of Learning. Let's turn the page. Here we go. We're going to turn that page. Y'all, Gale Interactive Science has cool 3D interactive models. You can dissect a pig in your class, in your after school class or your summer camp. You can do things with genes. You can find dinosaurs. It is so cool. I really invite you to spend a little time there. I mean, you will be like a rock star once you show kids this kind of thing. We have things for careers. We have things for food. Food is a great, foodways are, culturegrams and foodways are great ways to sneak in learning, whether it's the cooking, the social aspects of it, the tradition, the history, the cultural, so good. We have a variety of tools to help learn languages, including some for little kids called Muzzy, and then Mango. Okay. We teach you how to use Mango by teaching you pirate as a language. And that's fun and silly. We also have Shakespearean English. I love to teach how to insult people in Shakespeare. It's all there for you. But there's even American Sign Language, how wonderful would it be if one of your workshops, if you built in ASL as a lesson, or let's go for Spanish because it's the growth language of America. Let's all learn that together. That's all in all of these things. Mango, pronunciators, Muzzy. If you're doing financial, let's balance our imaginary checkbook. Let's find out that real expensive jacket that I bought when I was 18 and paid on installment now costs $5,000. You know, let's budget for life after high school. Let's budget to save a car. There's modules in there for teens as well as the younger kids. And there's puzzle games in BRAYN HQ. I'm not capable of doing them, but your kids are. There's even things like the great courses, which I wouldn't share with the youngers, but there may be some high school course, and great courses cover everything, hundreds and hundreds of topics. Let's turn the page, and we're winding down. Gale courses, y'all, 6-week, instructor-led. A new module starts halfway through the month. Am I suggesting to use these for plug and play for your camp? Probably not, unless you know that you have an 8-week camp, because it's a 6-week class and there's a human instructor on the end of the computer. But your staff and your volunteers could benefit greatly. There are ACT and SAT college prep courses embedded in this. There's all kinds of things, as you can see. So maybe it's something that you share with your clients, and maybe you take some of them yourself. Really great. One of my best comments I ever got from this was a mom of a special needs kid took a course, and she wrote in that after she had taken that course, she could advocate in the school system for the needs of her special needs child, and that she was a better advocate. So, you know, it's already worth the price of admission paying for Gale courses right there. Let's turn the page. Almost done. LinkedIn Learning. If you went to college in Baton Rouge up until a few years ago, you may have had access to something called lynda.com. It changed its name when it was purchased by LinkedIn. It is now LinkedIn Learning, and you do not have to pay $400 a year to get access to it. You can just use your library card, ladies and gentlemen. That's all you need. Now, LinkedIn Learning, we thought of as something for young professionals and old professionals. And it's got thousands of classes, just like Udemy. But it also has things that are appropriate for your high school kids. Test prep, college prep, internet safety. So some of these are classes that you would benefit from, and then you would then teach your clients. And some of it would be for your kids themselves. Success habits, everybody would benefit from that. The difficulty with LinkedIn Learning and some of the other resources is there's a 2-step sign in. Once you sign in, it's on your account, just like Libby. Your center doesn't have an account with Libby. You and your library card have an account with Libby. You and your library card would have an account with LinkedIn Learning or Udemy or even Mango Languages. And there's a simple reason for that. That's so that you build your portfolio and you can track your learning. So just think about that. And let's turn the page. Grant seekers. Okay. Unless you're rolling in dough and have a secret angel who is just pouring money into your pocketbook, you might. I don't know who has that. There's no
I don't know.
library, I'll tell you that. And the Library of Congress gives us nothing. Everybody may benefit from additional resources. And sometimes you know somebody, and that's the way into resources. Networking is still one of the best ways to find out about an opportunity and get on the priority list for that funding. Well, at the River Center Branch Library, we have a special collection for grant seekers, and it's Foundation Search and it's iWave. And yeah, there's books, but mostly it's these 2 powerful digital platforms where you can put in all kind of special things, and our grants librarian will teach you how if needed. Her name and number are right there. And she has some help guides as well. Because first of all, you have to find the right person to ask. There's no point me asking for money for books from a tire company if they don't give money for books or they don't care about children. I need to find someone who cares about something that I care about that matches my mission statement or the thing that I'm trying to fund. So the first thing is finding who to ask and then researching, have they ever given money in Louisiana before? Sometimes that's the big thing. They're perfect for you, but they only give to people in Wisconsin. Well, they might as well be dead to me. I care about people that are going to give money to citizens who live in the South. And this will help me eliminate and not waste the time of the people who don't. And then, y'all, it's like 6 degrees of separation. Who's on their board? Who's on this board? Who's on your board? Can you get from your board to their board in Kevin Spacey's 6 degrees or whatever his name was? Maybe you can. There's ways. There's hints on how to do grant development. And we're always open to people like the Louisiana Association of Nonprofit Organizations or ADFEB or other grant helpers to meet at the library and do workshops. There are other online resources that you can use from your phone anywhere you are with your library card. And who would have thought that Gale Business Plan would be the one? Our small business librarians can get you into the nonprofit module, and it can help you be a better planner, predictor, forecaster. If you're asking for funding, you kind of have to have a business plan sometimes. No one's going to give you money if they don't think you can deliver and you've got your own act together. They're just not gonna. So this helps you be a better planner for your nonprofit. That plan builder has, it can help you do a 5-year forecast. It can help you in so many ways. We also have the demographics, Statista. Many people have used those to write grants successfully, and the City Key for local data. So I believe there's only one more page, and that is make sure your kids, you and your kids, join the summer reading program. It's all about stopping that summer slide so that when they go back to school in August, they haven't lost 6 months. We track it via the Beanstack app now. They can earn badges along the way. Once they earn badges, they're eligible for weekly incentives. We don't call them prizes, but they're incentives. Teens earn incentives, kids earn incentives, even adults. Everyone's a winner. The kids can track the number of pages they read, the number of hours or minutes they read, or the books that they read. And when they start tracking those pages, their confidence starts building. And I don't care if there's just 5 words per page. I just don't care. There's no test, there's no judgment. We just want the kids to read. And as a reminder, we even have such things as the Kurzweil platform with the Firefly app that helps dyslexic students and other students with vision issues. And then we have so many things that talk to you and read the book out loud to you in Libby, in Tumble Books, in Tumble Cloud, and other things like Scholastic Flicks, Science Flicks. So much for you. Please use us. Librarians are standing by. The end.
All right, thank you so much, Mary. That was a lot of information, and we do have the slides here so that you can digest it all. These are this is the information to directly contact the teens, but also, you know, Mary shared information because I'm sure some of those, I wrote down some of them, I'm sure y'all wrote down some of them, and we'll be eager to receive these slides. But Mary, thank you. I mean,
Thank you.
Even more than what we talked about. Like there are so many services. So thank you so much for sharing and being here today. With 6 minutes left, we're going to go ahead and talk about the BRAYN announcements and allow our members and guests to share about their programs and events coming up. BRAYN does have a summer summit on April 28th. It is here. The School Community Partnerships Working Group is going to present the final details about partnering with EBR this summer. The summit is on Zoom and the invite has been sent. If you didn't receive the invite and you want to attend, please email admin at our BRAYN. Forrest is going to drop that in the chat. To accommodate the busy schedules of our members, we will not have a convening in May. That is when summer planning is going on and the members are just really busy. We respect and appreciate their time that they volunteer, so no convening in May. They're just really busy, but we will be back in June. That will be June 16th, and an invite has been sent for that one as well. And so if you don't have it, please let me know by using that same email address. The topic will be announced in May for the June convening. We want to define, you probably heard me say in good standing. And so we just wanted to reiterate what that means. So as part of the commitment to BRAYN, your organization agrees to sign an MOU, keep relevant information pages, and send a minimum of one representative to work in a working group. If your organization needs to renew your MOU, all you need to do is sign in your account and simply sign it by going to the BRAYN hub. Update your information page to reflect what's going on this summer, and please sign up for a working group today if you have not. If you are interested in partnering with EBR this summer or in the fall, please apply for certification. The step-by-step instructions are available by the link that was just dropped in the chat about membership onboarding. You can use those same instructions for renewing because you still go into the BRAYN hub. If you need any assistance, or if you're like me, where it's better that you would just walk through it together, you can use the link in my signature, in my email signature to request a meeting, or just simply send me an email. If you're not receiving our newsletter or other communications, use that same email address, admin at our BRAYN, to ensure that we have the correct email address. Because in addition to your information page, powered by Harmonize Inc., we want to promote your events and programs in the newsletter. The newsletter is sent out bi-weekly, and members in good standing should send their submissions to admin at our BRAYN for placement. It's on a first come, first serve basis. And we are happy to promote those for you. As we continue to strengthen our capacity, a deadline to submit will be shared, but as of now, just share it as you can. I will say, if it's tomorrow, it will not go in the newsletter. Today is the day to share that. But the most exciting announcement starts now. The BRAYN EBR PSS MOU has been signed and will continue through June 30th, 2025. This is huge. It actually did, some of you may have heard us talk about it maybe last year or earlier this year that it was signed, but then we had to go back and update terms based on the data sharing. So that is actually going to be implemented. I think it was Eric who talked earlier about, connecting with the schools to get the score. So data will be shared, and BRAYN will be on the EBR scorecard. There's a lot. I was reading over the MOU this morning, just in awe, like, wow, this is really happening. But more information about how certified school partners will participate will come. We have certified members that will work in EBR this summer, but I will be talking to the membership working group soon. Because I have a feeling that we may have to do an additional certification. So if you are looking to work this summer and you have not submitted an LOI, go ahead and do it. And I am going to talk to the co-chairs and follow up with you. It is 11:30. But I am going to go ahead and open it up if you want to stay on and share about community events coming up. No, or you can put it in the chat. I see the chat is, yep, knock knock, free day this is Sunday, April 29th. There are 2 sessions. If you'd like a flyer, please email me. That was from Hillary. Somebody
Hey,
said,
Jasmine.
yes.
I'm sorry, this is Eric. So we have 4 STEM festivals at various parks around the parish breakfast facilities. But I'll put the flyer in the chat. But we actually have one tomorrow at Forest Community Park. So if folks want to bring their kids out or let their constituents know about it, it's free. And so it'll be a STEM festival at each of these parks.
Oh, that's fantastic. Anyone else? And Mary asked if the June convening is on Zoom. It is on Zoom. Our next in-person will be in September. Mary, I never found the email, but I thought I emailed you and gave that update that we were only having 4 in person.
So I think I'm caught up with you now.
Okay. Because I of course I send so many emails, but I thought it was January, March, September, and I think it was December, but I need to go back and look for that email.
All right, I got rid of all those other ones.
Okay, thank you. Happy Earth Day, Hillary said. Any other announcements? Thank you, Hillary. I love to hike, so I love Earth Day.
Jasmine, it's Nita at LASM,
Yay,
and
yes.
I went ahead and put it in the chat, but we have a National Astronomy Day celebration tomorrow at LASM. We're doing it a week early. So we'll have hands-on activities with the Baton Rouge Astronomical Society and a NASA Solar System Ambassador, and we've got a moon rock, and we've got Home Depot coming out, and just some fun stuff. So the activities are from 9:45 until 2, and the day with the planetarium shows is all day until 5. So come on out tomorrow and have some fun.
Exciting, exciting. All right. Well, with that, I will let you all go. Thank you all so much for participating in today's convening, and we will see you soon, hopefully for the summer summit. Bye-bye.